have a group setting for support, and then also networking. Like you never know who could help you, but just having the space to come together and someone kicking that off, I think it'll grow a lot of people and help a lot of people. So definitely want to do groups. I think that's going to be my main focus, and launching my website so that people can connect with me other ways besides social media.
So yeah, I'm Dom
Hello.
Groot, and I'm here with Kaishone, who is an entrepreneur. She is the host of the Oral Therapy podcast, and also a life coach who's working to build an online program. So I want to learn a lot about what you have going on. We were connected through a mutual friend. She shouted you out on my podcast, and then
Yeah.
boom, we were connected that way. So, shout out to La Monique for the amazing things that she's doing in the community and connecting us too. Because from what I hear, you're doing some great things. So, if you can, just tell me your journey to like one, just like being an entrepreneur. We'll get to like the life coaching and something about the podcast a little later, but I feel like that entrepreneurial spirit is something that I genuinely connect with, being that I'm from Los Angeles and my family is deeply rooted in entrepreneurship. So I just want to learn a little bit more about how you landed on being an entrepreneur.
Um, I think that it really started with like me working in mental health. I'm a rehab specialist, so I help to create treatment plans for sobriety and vocational services. But in that field, I don't have a lot of wiggle room to really dive in and help people the way I would like to, or it just only goes so far. So I have to, I'm limited in the ways that I can help others. So being able to step out and become a life coach and help others in that way, have a lot more flexibility in how I can help others.
Okay.
So that's essentially why, just so I can have the freedom to help however I see fit.
Okay. That's amazing. In terms of just like wanting to do more. So like, because we all at some point had like a day job and some of us still do, and like some people are fine with that routine of like what they're able to do within their job, but like that inspiration for wanting to be able to help like in a more custom way to where you're like, all right, I'm a life coach and I'm gonna build these like programs to kind of really help people. Where did a bit of that inspiration come from? Is it something that maybe you saw kind of growing up, or maybe something in college that you kind of sparked, or I don't know where I'm going here, but just essentially like, yeah, where did some of that inspo come from? Just wanting to do more and help.
Well, I've always I've participated in counseling multiple times in my life, and I saw the value in it. And then I had a parent that committed suicide, so they dealt with their own mental health issues. So I saw the need, especially in like the Black community, for advocates to really push that narrative that it's important to talk about mental health and the concerns you may have. Um, so just like being involved and having those type of mentors at school and in the workplace, being exposed to the education system that would expose like the way the mind works, and I think being a psych major definitely intrigued my interest even
Okay.
more. So I would say that kind of pushed me that way, but then life experiences, of course, have landed me in this position to help other people. I wouldn't be fulfilled if I was doing anything
I
else.
guess. Nah, that's amazing, and it kind of rings true. Like I see a lot of the like I checked out a couple of your episodes on the podcast, and one thing to note, just like off the bat, is like the intro and the quality of the production of it all is like top tier. So I just want to give you a shout out for that, because that's a lot of work. Just like beyond just like you're really passionate about what you do, but like the tech side, that whole other side of like making it look like something people want to click into is super important. So if you can share a little bit about the podcast, like tell us about why you came up with the name, where the name came from, like how you pick your guest, and like some of the important topics that you discuss.
Oh God, yeah. So sorry, I'm sick too, so I sound a little weird, but
Oh, no
it
worries,
has
hope you get well
been,
soon.
thank you. It has been like a crazy journey to even learn the technology world. You wouldn't believe it if you saw me on the show, but I'm very, very not tech savvy, and I suffer from anxiety as well. I'm very nervous before, so My team is amazing. I found the right people. God just led me to the right places and found the right people. So that tech and the quality and the videography and all that is done by other people. My team is amazing. Martine is my primary videographer, and he's awesome. Without him, the videos would look crazy. If you look back to older videos I've done, you will see that the
See that?
quality definitely has changed. And he created the intro. I basically just tell him kind of what I want or what I envision, just clips of the shows, so that people can see there are different types of people. I want to have different races on, different entrepreneurs, different, like I just had a band on. I want to kind of like have everybody in the space to be able to talk about their journeys and their crafts, and kind of basically kind of tear it back towards mental health, but just talk about how they make it through their day to day. So the topics come just from like meeting different people, and like I met Ave, who fronts that band, and she was amazing. And she was like, "Yeah, I would love to be on." And I was really nervous about it because I don't know anything about bands or anything like that, but things like that happen. Just people I come in contact with and um, feel that they would have something new for my audience, and just a different point of view. Because my whole vision is to expose people to different perspectives, and experiences from different types of people. Because you never know who you could relate to. It may not be someone who looks exactly like you, but it's just important to kind of exposure is important. So that's what my ideal goal is to expose as much as possible.
Okay. Now, and I really like that. And as you were talking, like two things popped up for me. One, like you gave a lot credit to your team for helping you, like make it look how it looks. So I have two kind of questions. One is like, when did that light switch hit for you? Did you meet someone and kind of they talked to you about like, hey, you got to switch things up if you want to get more engagement? And then like, how was that process for you? Because one, like as a as like an individual who's like, this is your baby, something you built and you're trying to grow it and do things with it. Some people are open to that feedback, but some people kind of respond differently. Like I have experiences like with folks that I'm like giving input to, not that I'm like life coaching, but like advice more so. They ask for my advice, but they may be reluctant to like actually implement it sometimes. So yeah, tell me a little bit about that. Like where was that light switch for you, and were you reluctant to making that change? Because I'd imagine, unless you're, partnerships, like it gets expensive essentially. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to figure out like how you navigated that space of like wanting to like, here's my end goal, and here's the steps I need to take to get there. But like, it is a tough battle to make that choice of like cutting that check.
Listen, when I close my eyes, I'm just like, oh, just take the card. Because it definitely would be Martine, I would say also, and La Monique, because both of them had different separate conversations with me about separate things that they do. One works with marketing, and then one works with the whole visual piece. But yeah, just letting me know like what I want to achieve. I can't set limits to myself financially, and I can't half-ass it. I'm sorry if I can't say that, but
Absolutely,
I
that's fine.
can do it. I can't do it halfway. I have to put all of the eggs in the basket, all the energy there. And he was just like, what you're talking about on the show and then the videos and things like that are just not, they're not syncing up. So we need to do something. We need to make a change. And I had to really just learn to trust, because the price tag definitely was a deterrent, but I trusted him, and ever since then it's been working. So it's the same with law. I just let them do their portion of it, and it works. We flow together well. So just
Okay.
trusting
So
them and trusting God.
okay, and then out of curiosity, how long would you say you've been on your journey of like, you know, on the entrepreneur side of it, where you're like trying to make a business behind what you're doing?
So I launched the Oral Therapy LLC in April of 2020
Okay.
during the pandemic, because I just needed a change. I needed some. I didn't want to be a hypocrite. I wanted to walk what what I talked. I wanted to kind of like do something real to help people. I wanted to have a baby, have something that I can say I'm really working on to make what I speak come to life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been since 2020 that I've been trying to develop things and grow, but I've only been taking it really serious since 2021, last year, I would say mid-year. But through it all, I've had so many hiccups. I've had two deaths and a really bad car situation on my birthday. So
Mm.
yeah, it just has been so much going on. My mom has been diagnosed with cancer three times during this, so my setbacks have been really tremendous. But like my resilience is it overshadows all of that. So I continue to try to stay strong and stay in it.
Absolutely, and you come so far. It's like you've put in so much work and endured so much. So, I'll definitely be praying for you. If you're willing to receive
Thank you.
that. And I mean, you appear to be strong and handling it well. But I'm just gonna send some stuff your way, anyways. But no, to all of that though, like as you push through and you navigate like what this business has been for you. I know you spoke a little bit about your why, but what are some goals that you're looking to obtain like within the next 5 years or so? Some things that you'd like to see your LLC reach, or even like some numbers that you may want to see for your podcast.
I would like to really have a group space, whether it be via Zoom or in person. I prefer in person, but I want to have group sessions, support group sessions, self care. I want to have groups for men, groups for women, and not necessarily ran by me, just me being the overseer of like orchestrating them, but I definitely want to have group setting. So in the next 5 years, I want to have a space where I can have a group of people sign up, come share their stories. So similar to AA style, I want to have a group setting for support, and then also networking. Like you never know who could help you, but just having the space to come together and someone kicking that off, I think it'll grow a lot of people and help a lot of people. So definitely want to do groups. I think that's going to be my main focus. And launching my website so that people can connect with me other ways besides social media.
Okay, absolutely. And I know in our email you mentioned a little bit about that online like program that you're developing. Are you in a space where you can share a little bit about like what that would look like?
Yeah, so the podcast website is already done. I am just working on Love Kaishone, the life coaching side, and what I want to do, how I want to make the pricing points, because I want to make everything I do affordable to everyone. I can't talk about helping others without, keeping
Mm-hmm.
them in mind as far as their wallets are
Mm-hmm.
concerned. But I also have to pay to kind of market myself and to maintain. So I do need to be paid, but we're working on trying to connect with some finance people to make that happen. Because, like I said, I definitely want everybody to be able to take advantage. So group settings will be like you're paying like a group membership or a subscription like you would pay Netflix or anything. It'll be very low rate,
Mm-hmm.
and really mostly ran by the members of the group. I'm just going to be the facilitator.
Okay.
So
And then,
hopefully soon, soon, soon.
and you're in AZ.
I am.
All right, I'm gonna shoot you some links too to some potential grants that I've had some success with a few grants out here, and I don't know, maybe if you can curate some for this one in particular that I'm thinking of, if you're willing to curate some stuff like that in Tempe, they may be looking to help fund some stuff like that. So I'll send you some links and we can talk offline a little more about that. But now that all sounds amazing. Like
Awesome.
a lot of the work that you're looking to put in, and I see that the podcast site is up, and you'll be looking to kind of give people that option. And I love what you said about like trying to make it affordable, but still understanding like, hey, you got stuff to pay for. Like that podcast got to look how it got to look, and your visibility has to be there as well, because that's a
Yeah.
whole other part of it too. It's like, one, you're going to be a master at your craft and what you do, and you're going to give your all to your clients, and the people who get to experience that, they understand it and know it. But sometimes when someone's just clicking your page, or when they just landed on your podcast real quick, they don't know all that you've put in to like be who you are
Yeah.
today. So that one little clip, like literally I clicked the intro I clicked the podcast for the first time, and the intro had me just like, hold on, let me full screen, like I was like zoomed into it. So in terms of like capturing somebody, for the moment to like keep them locked into you doing your intro. Hey, this is Kaishone. I got this guest. This is my podcast, so on and so forth. Then you get into the topic and the tones and the level of in which you're like engaging with your guests is super calm too. I mean, I haven't watched all of them, so they all may vary,
Yeah.
but like the few that I checked out, it was like super warm and inviting because I feel like when it comes to mental health, what I'm saying, folks do need that kind of environment where they don't feel like, hey, tell me about what's wrong with your brain. You know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, like, yo, you kind of
Um,
talk through the questions with them and they kind of process real time, you know what I'm saying? And kind of you bounce back and forth off of those. So, how do you set up for your podcast? I'm just curious. Are you like, do you like to get like a lot of questions pre-prepared, or are you just kind of freestyling as you go? What's your kind of vibe when you prepare to have a guest on?
I would say both. I think it's important to allow space to let the guests flow, and kind of move the host along. You would think it'd be back the other way around, but that's not how it works with when you're talking about a topic surrounding mental health. They're trying to get them to be comfortable being vulnerable and sharing their story.
Mm-hmm.
So I prepare, I have cue cards and I write some questions that I can kind of guide off of. But if we go into some other lanes or if they speak on something I would definitely love to elaborate on, I will do that. So it kind of it's there's a script, but there's room for unscripted discussion, and I always leave a space at the end for just an open discussion for them to talk about whatever. So I think that works, and that's just like any therapy session. You're gonna go in the session and talk, and your therapist is not gonna have a group of questions. They may have a guideline on what they want to ask you or what they want to dive into to get to know where you are and what you need help with. But it's essentially based on you. So trying to keep that traditional way of having a session, even though I'm not a licensed therapist, but just that traditional way of discussing different topics mixed with, my own little twist. And I'm just a regular, degular girl from Arizona, so I don't want anybody to feel shy or uncomfortable. I get nervous just like the next person. I'm not perfect just like the next person. But the space is really shared. So just making it that way, making sure that they know that that's the setting. That's all I ask for.
Yeah, and that's super real, especially today in the age of the phone. Like, everybody's scrolling Instagram, all that instant gratification, all of this like cyber feels, being in a setting. I mean, though the podcast is digital, but like inviting people into your space, you know what I'm saying? Or even, touching back on what you essentially want to do is build that communal kind of space where folks can come together and do it, because there's value in like those conversations being had, like not being, kind of how we are essentially right now, as a product of like what the pandemic was originally. I just am working towards getting like a studio spot so I can invite people in to like do my pod live. But like, kind of essentially like what you have and then what you're working towards for actually like providing support to people is super, super important. So I just want to give you like some praise for like doing that and like looking to kind of keep that a thing. You know what I'm saying? Just because like it's a gift and a curse is what essentially what I'm
Yeah.
getting at with this technology. Like we can connect with so many people that we may not ever have the opportunity connect with, but we can also see some things that create insecurities for us, you know what I'm saying, that create some kind of like doubt or imposter syndrome because we're looking at producers in Sweden with all this, technology, and I'm like, oh, I'm here and all I have is this, you know what I'm saying? But so like that's that gift and the curse side of thing. But like actually being in person with people, like I used to run sound with the band every first Friday, and they used to draw like 200, 300 people circling around them, and it was nothing like that environment. When it was taken away from us via the pandemic, it was a lot different, you know what I'm saying, in terms of making music and like just seeing that response to people live at a concert and that kind of shift and change. So just wanted to throw that out there before I kind of shift gears on the pod. So one thing I do like to do is just learn a little bit about like how you maintain, you know what I'm saying? We talked a lot about your business and how you got there, a lot about your life experiences. But what things do you do to chill out? Like,
I I had Homebody on because he's grown to be a good friend. I just met him in passing as well, but I am a homebody as well. So when I saw his home buddies friends page, I was like, I'm on it. I love to be at home. I love to be. I have a significant other. I love to be around him. I just love to just chill. Like I find peace in that because my life is so chaotic. My work life is chaotic. I go in the office and I see people who um, have auditory and visual hallucinations. They may have paranoia, schizophrenia. I deal with so much energies all day long. People who are severely depressed, who are manic. The list goes on, who have substance use, and I have to debrief. So I think a lot of my peace comes from being at home and relaxing. I made my space very comfortable for that. But I also like to go out and have fun. I like a good brunch. I like to go to networking events. I love music. I think I have been to one of your events before, and
Oh
I've
wow.
heard your poetry.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I think
Okay.
it was so long ago, but so I love spaces like that, and that's my vibe, real chill. But other than that, I being home is where it's at. Or with my family. I love my family. I just had a nephew too, and I FaceTime him all the time. It's kind of sick, but I love to FaceTime him. He's a month old, but
Okay.
I will go see him. I love to FaceTime him. So I just love my family and being home. That's where I find joy outside of helping people.
Okay. No, that's amazing. I mean, I'm very similar. Like because of the like I make music, I love being in my space that I create in. When I'm outside of it, I feel like something out of its
Fish out
shell,
of
if you
water.
will. I'm just like, yo, where are we? But I'm getting better at being outside and like kicking it with folks and like, doing that part of things too, because that part of networking helps me out a little bit. Being an introvert naturally, like I have to kind of push myself at times because I'm like, man, when was the last time I actually pulled up on somebody, and just kind of making
Yeah.
sure I have a bit of that balance. But when you're at the crib, when you're relaxing and stuff, do you pop on any shows? Do you have any like favorite things to watch?
I'm really when I'm at home, I'm like so tired. I either sleep or I mean, if I do watch anything, I love the love shows. So I'm watching Love is Blind right now, or crime. Learning about serial killers. I don't know why that's intriguing to me, or court cases that are going on. Popular court case. I watched the Daryl Brooks court case from start to finish. I'm waiting on
Okay.
the sentencing date.
Yeah.
So like I am into those types of things, but I'm not really a TV person. I will watch a movie every now and again. I'm like into comedy, romantic comedy, or just whatever my babe wants to watch, we'll watch. But I'm not a TV person, honestly.
Okay. For sure. What about YouTube? I mean, where do you spend most of
Oh,
your
I
time?
love YouTube.
Like, okay, so
Yeah, a lot of YouTube.
are you watching like other like YouTube? So I'm just trying to throw things out. EYL, do you check out any like EYL information earn your leisure?
No, I don't really. So if I watch YouTube, I do like a lot of motivational or educational YouTube channels.
Okay.
So I like to learn about credit, business credit, um,
And yeah.
DYIs.
Okay. Well, I might have
So
to
I'm
send you.
always I'm studying all the time,
Yeah.
but I like my brain likes to learn.
Yeah.
Um, so anything that's teaching me something or anything that's I don't know. I think I always gravitate towards those things. It's sad, but that's what I watch.
Okay, no, for sure. I have to put you on to the one I was referring to. EYL is Earn Your Leisure. They pretty much go over,
Oh, watch
business
this.
credit, stocks, all kind of stuff. It's
Oh,
super insightful. They got a program for each day of the week, pretty much. But that's pretty much all I watch.
wow.
It's like if I'm not looking at football stuff, man, I'm just on there. Every Monday they got Market Monday, so they going over what's going down in the market with different companies and Ian, the market. He calls himself on IG. It's the master investor. So those guys are pretty insightful. Because again, I'm similar. Like I don't watch too much. Like when my fiance will kick back and our quality time will be spent like watching shows and like doing that part of it. But when I'm dolo and like if it's not football, then it's like something about my stock, something about business, to kind of keep that part of my brain going because I don't know, man. Like I do, like don't get me wrong, I enjoy shows. Like if we're doing it as like a group setting type of thing, but by myself, I'll like pass out or find myself like opening up an Excel spreadsheet and like doing work. You know what I'm saying? I'm that type of person where my brain has
It's
to be
hard
like
to it's
turn it
hard to
off.
shut it off. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm the same way. It's just I think it's just because we're in this elevating. We desire to elevate, so it's hard to turn that off. That's who we've become. So any way we can feed that little beast inside of us, it's what's gonna happen.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You
So,
know what? It does this to me at work too, because I do groups at work on Zoom,
oh yeah,
and the girls are always like, "You hung up on us," and I'm like, "No, it's just Zoom. I don't know. Our job makes us do our own too." And I'm like, "I'm not paying for it, so we're gonna do
yeah,
40 minutes, and then we'll start all over." So yeah,
right,
I don't know
right.
why.
Yeah,
It's so
the
stupid, but
true. The guys, we were doing a creative writing workshop to where we had like 40 people, 20 people, sometimes 8 people. So I was like, all right, I'll pay for a few months, and then we weren't doing those anymore. And my pod was running for a while, so I was like, all right, perfect. This is it's kind of working. But as it slowed up, I was like, all right, now it's a bit much. So I'm working on the alternate. So we'll figure it out. Obviously, I want to be in person, so we'll figure that out. But for the time being, I got to figure out a better way of doing it. But no, again, we're gonna jump back into it. I want to thank you for taking time out of your Sunday to do this. I know yesterday this internet situation kind of dropped the ball. So, man,
it
you've been like
happens
super
over
helpful.
here all the time.
Does it?
Downtown, we like it's crazy. We always have outages, sometimes for a whole day. So just
Right.
imagine if you have a Roku TV or internet TV, it's like
Just
there's no
yeah,
TV
pretty much
or a
right.
hotspot. Yeah, it's bad.
Stressful. Okay, so as we close out here, I just want to get a little bit of like, so usually what I like to do on my pod is like, all right, I'll take a person back to the time that I was like introduced to their work, but given that I was introduced to you fairly recently, like I just want to take you back, let's say 4 years, because you say you've been in business since 2020, so 2 years before you started your business. Wherever you were at that time, like what kind of advice would you give a person like that was in your position? I don't know what you were going through, only you do, but like what kind of
Oh,
words would you have wanted to hear during that time to let you know that like, yeah, I'm gonna be that girl, soon, or that woman, or that whoever soon.
I would say um, to believe in yourself. Believe that you can do anything that God puts in your mind. Trust God, and if He puts it in your mind, that means you have some sort of capacity to get it done. You may need to connect with the right people, but to start making those steps and to remember that it takes a step to get to the next step. You don't climb a ladder by jumping from here to the top. Just as long as you put one foot in front of the other, you're gonna move. We walk by doing that. That's an example, and I think God created us to walk like that because He wanted us to know it's gonna take one foot in front of the other to get where you have to go. So just trust yourself, trust your dreams, believe in yourself, and take the steps.
Hmm.
You won't regret it. You never regret doing something for yourself. I've never regret doing anything for myself. So
I like it.
that's my advice.
I like it. And as you talk about connect with the right people, I do want to touch on that just slightly, because I get a lot of that. Like, so for I Am Root, we've been rocking since about 2011, and sometimes I get folks that's like, "Oh man, how do you build a team? Like, how do you meet the right people to like, to like actually do the jobs or the tasks or whatever the case is?" Like, what's been your experience with like finding the right people, or like and also learning to like relinquish some of that responsibility as you work with the gentleman. I believe you said Martine is the name. I just don't want to
Mm-hmm.
mispronounce it. Okay, okay. And then also La, but like either prior to finding them or even in the process of finding them, like that process of you like relinquishing some of that responsibility. Like this is your baby, this is your project, but like allowing them to like do their thing and trusting them to do their thing.
Um, Doing research and kind of like just seeing what people have to offer. Having conversations, putting yourself in spaces to meet those types of people. That's what it takes. You're never going to find the right team if you stay at home and you just always have to do things by yourself. So putting yourself out there to meet different people and seeing what they have to offer. But it's really, I kind of got lucky. Martine and I met once, and it was kind of like the conversation was like it sounded like he believed in me from day one,
Mm-hmm.
and that meant a lot just because I don't have a lot of family that have, you know, that have their own business or have ever tried to have their own businesses. So to have somebody believe in your dream or your baby from the
Yeah.
get go was really, really big for me. And then just seeing his work, I was a believer in him that he could get the job done, and knowing that I couldn't take on the world, even though we sometimes think that we can. You can't take on the world by yourself. So just trusting it. It's really hard. You never know, and sometimes just knowing that everybody who you start with, you won't end with. There are some people that I worked with before that I no longer work with, and there's no bad blood or anything like that. But if we weren't aligning, we weren't aligning. So it's just, you have to move on, knowing when to say that this isn't working. Being honest, it goes back to that, just being honest and kind of trial and error. You're gonna have bad times. You're gonna make some mistakes in your business. I definitely wasted a lot of money, made a lot of mistakes, but it's important. It helps to build the character of the business. So when you get to a point where you can have that CEO speech or that owner's speech on how you got to the point you are in the future, you now have a story. You don't want to say it was perfect. I never had any hiccups. Everything went well, because that's a false narrative to others who are going to experience things. Even if you're the lucky one, who 1% who doesn't have hiccups. So I think it just builds character to just try, get out there. If you fall, get up, try again. You'll find the right person if you do it that way.
Okay. That sounds amazing. So I want to throw out this last thing here and give you an opportunity to give out some flowers. So one thing I enjoy doing is just like meeting new people, but also those people kind of putting me on to new people. So if there's anybody out there that you admire who's doing great work, that's kind of in our community or in communities similar to ours, this is a good time for you to run through them. So if I have to put a cap on it, maybe like 5 people, 3 to 5 folks that you think is doing some great work
Okay.
out there.
Um, I will say Glam Girl Inc.
Mm-hmm.
It's run by Janae. She's a lash tech and esthetician in Phoenix, Arizona. And she's 22 years old, and she's like my little baby. She knows this. She's so amazing. Like, really doing it by herself. Didn't really grow up with, that great example in the family as well. And I just feel like I'm just so proud of her every time she tells me something that she does, because she's so young and really doing major things. So her, Miss Kimmy Cabello, sorry. She is the makeup artist here, and she's amazing as well. She's constantly breaking the internet with her looks and things like that. So I think that's amazing. Um, Hello, I'm Kate Banks. She is an Instagram influencer, but she's also starting her own boutique, which I think is amazing. She's starting a plus size boutique, so we don't see a lot of that, and I think she has her own realm and she does her own thing, and she's very creative with her projects, her costumes, her whatever you want to say. What she's
Mm-hmm.
influencing, I'm so bad with influencing, but she's amazing. I would say those three girls. Of course, the TLM agency and La Monique, because she's amazing herself, but she's been on, so I won't use her. But those are
Thank
the
you.
three that I see that are growing and doing really, really well as far as the women. And then the one male is Drake the comedian. I don't know if you know him, but he is kicking butt out here. And he's really just like the coolest person ever, really chill. But he creates a lot of spaces for other artists, and I don't know who else he works with as far as comics, but he really artistry. He puts them into spaces and allows people to come together and see them. I think that's amazing. I came to one of his events, and he was like, "Here's the mic." I'm like, I I don't do music, but I have the podcast. So I was like, follow me. But I thought that was super cool that he like pulled me on stage and was like, shout yourself out.
Right. Yeah.
So that was really awesome.
Okay, for
So
sure.
those are my
Be sure
peeps.
to check those out,
They're
and when you get a chance, shoot me, everybody's handle. I believe the last one, I don't know him personally, but it's either through your page or through some events that we were promoting. I saw his name, and I clicked his page and like saw
yeah.
his stuff. So I'm pretty sure we're following him now after I saw the page. But if you can, just shoot me the handles, everybody, so I can make sure I pop them up, graphics, tag people when we share some clips and stuff like that.
Yeah, I will. So Janae, Kay, Kim, and Drake.
Yep. Yeah, perfect. That's a great
I
listen.
will.
I enjoy that part of it because it's three names on here that I didn't know about, so I get to learn about some stories and watch people just like on their grind. That's one thing I love is
Yeah.
success stories. Like I come from a family that was super supportive and stuff like that. Even when I didn't have much success, like I always tell a story. I played football. We lost all our games, but my family was in the stands going up, and like turning up for me, and that kind of allowed me to feel like I can do whatever. So in turn, like when it comes to my business and the brand, it's like I want to kind of make sure that I shine a light on folks too, because that story does, as I navigate the community, not everybody's family like kind of moves in that way. So I just kind of want to be family
Yeah.
for folks. I just kind of want to give them that feel of home when you tap in with I am root, in a way I want it to feel like home for folks. So thank you for doing what
I
you
love
do.
it. I
Thank
love
you for
that.
being on the podcast. Is there any last words you want to leave our listeners with, just
Um,
about life in general, or anything that you want to plug that you have coming up? That'll be a great time for it as well.
um, I just want to say thank you. Like I said, I get nervous. I'm very nervous all the time. I am. You wouldn't think it, but I am. But I thank you for having the space too. And like what you're doing is amazing. And I love that you have the shout out piece because that's how people grow and you connect with other people. And so you're emulating that as well. I know I said that about what I want to do, but it's important that all of us want to do that so that we can really see some growth in our community. So I thank you for having me on, and I think it was amazing. And I would love to come when you have your space, and I will be another guest. I'll be in the background, whatever. I would love to
For
continue
sure.
to build, our relationship or our common brands relationship. So yeah,
Yeah,
let me
absolutely. I
know.
might have to tap in with you and Martina, get some pointers, camera cuts and
Yeah,
all of that stuff looks
and
really
then
good. So
also, if you're looking to just have a space to have a show, you can rent Martine's space because the space is his as well.
okay.
And I'll send you that information as well because it's not too much just to do the audio space or even set up. Like you guys can talk and kind of connect with about some other things, but I'll send you Martine's information as well.
Okay, for sure. No, I appreciate that.